soldier, her child soldiers will rise atop where she fell through the tunnels of hell every day. This wild wolf within her wool understood that she would trek through miles for little birds that set themselves on fire. And I said, ooh, we'll fill the holes in the underground, we'll steal my soul in this soulless town. I said, sky, savage eyes on the city light. And I said, fill the holes in the underground, steal my soul in the soulless town. I said, lay the light for a pretty sky, savage eyes on the city line, savage eyes on the city line, savage eyes on the city line, run away.
So I can't take credit for that, actually. My sister, who's standing right in front of me, Bridget Apicello, put together not only the video from scratch, but also wrote original lyrics and all of the music that you just heard as inspired by the book. It's still like bringing tears to my eyes just thinking about it. Thank you so much, Bridget. It was perfect and amazing. And thank you so much to everybody here. It's so crazy to see all of you and to think that this is actually real. I'm sure people out there, maybe some writers out there, you know, you think about this moment when you're kind of dabbling away and, you know, you always kind of entertain that maybe something like this could happen. But you never kind of fully let yourself realize it. And even now, standing here in front of you, it still doesn't feel real. It feels better than real. So thank you all for your support. I thought what I would just do is talk about the book a little bit and my motivation for writing it, and then some of my writer friends did agree to do an interactive reading, and then we're going to do a raffle at the end in case I wasn't loud enough before. That's kind of the program of the night. City of Savages, in my mind at least, you can't do that all night. Okay, we're gonna pan in a little bit. All right, sorry, talking to my sidebar over here. In my mind, I've always billed City of Savages as a near future thriller, but at its heart, it's really a family saga. It's the story of two sisters and their mom who are prisoners of a war camp once known as Manhattan. And when these dark, devastating secrets about their family and their island begin to surface, they attempt to escape. So what follows from there is kind of this terrifying adventure through the twists and turns of this reimagined Manhattan. The cool thing, I think, about this book, not only getting to see it on shelves, but it's the debut book of a debut imprint, actually. It's Simon & Schuster's new imprint called Saga Press, and it's specializing in speculative fiction, which is science fiction, fantasy, and horror. and it's kind of catering to a crossover audience, which is both teens, young adults, and adults. And to be the first book in this venture is incredibly exciting and humbling, because if you saw the other authors on this list, it's wild. I'm so humbled to be in this company. A lot of people have asked me what caused me to write kind of, I guess, a story about an imprisoned Manhattan and where people are suffering on the streets of Manhattan. People always say, write what you know. And I think I agree with that, but I think write what you know and disguise it really well. I was in a really tough place, actually, in my life. I was practicing at a law firm out in Los Angeles, and it's tough in Los Angeles. I think it has long hours and tight deadlines and everything that comes with working at a big firm. But I transferred to the New York office, actually, and the long hours became overnighters, and the tight deadlines became, oh my God, I can't do this kind of thing. I was just very frustrated. I was very down on myself. I felt like New York, honestly, was a prison. And I think that frustration had to release itself somehow. And I started daydreaming about a Central Park that really was a prison, and subway rides that really were life and death, and a city that just didn't seem cutthroat, but that actually had these cutthroat, savage rituals. Anyway, a little bit of a dark mind, I guess. Anyway, it helped. It really helped. And I started, the world kind of pieced itself together, which was kind of amazing and just such a cathartic release. So once I sort of had this world, which ended up being kind of a love letter to New York in a weird way, it was this cathartic process where I was like re-exploring New York and repurposing it for this book. I wanted to populate it, obviously, with characters that meant something to me. And the relationship that has always just kind of defined me and defined my life is sisterhood. I'm one of 3 sisters. My sisters are right here. And I really do think sisterhood is just so cool because it really has its own language. I just think you go from knowing the person better than you know yourself to to them surprising you. There's this great love and humor and history there, and sometimes that can translate into jealousy, and sometimes that can translate into, such resilience and strength. And I just, for anybody out there who has sisters, it was just something I knew I wanted to write about. So once I had the world and the characters, then before I turned to the paper, I wanted to make another choice. And as a reader, reading kind of these post-apocalyptic world as we know it, that's kind of our world but not quite our world, I always want to know the story behind the story, I call it. What caused our world to get to the world in this book? And sometimes you get a little bit of it, sometimes you don't. One of my favorite young adult books of all time, The Hunger Games, I just remember thinking the whole time through, I love this story, but I kind of want to know why North America became the 13 districts. That's something I would like to know. And The Road, which is one of my favorite books of all time, it's beautiful, it's brilliant. I just wanted to know what covered the world in ash. It's just one of those things I always want to know, what lies behind the curtain. So in this book, I set out very consciously to create a pretty robust subplot that tells the story of how the city fell. So, and it's told through the particular lens of this family, of this woman, the mother of the 2 sisters that are the protagonists of this book. And so anyway, that kind of, the past informs the present, and the present kind of gives meaning to the past, and it's sort of this dialogue. And what I hope the book reads as is this intimate study of 2 generations of New York women, those who have survived these horrific attacks, and then their children who were raised to live in the aftermath. So that's sort of just a kind of a little pitch on the book. Before we go to the reading, I would love to just thank some people. I'm sorry, this is going to be like a weird cross between a wedding welcome and a Academy Award speech, but I'm never going to get this crowd. And, there are just some people that I absolutely have to thank. My agent, Adrian Ranta, who totally took a chance on me and the book. It was a complete... Sorry, I was giving a speech to Adrian. It was a complete cold call, and even at the time, I remember being, it's dystopia, I'm not sure, what do you think? And she was like, this book is special. We will sell this book. And she did, and she's been phenomenal ever since. She's such a great, she's so supportive, and I'm so lucky to have her in my corner. To the team at Simon & Schuster, I've seen everybody floating around. My amazing editor, Nava Wolf, who made this book so much better than I ever dreamed it could be. She's so collaborative, so wonderful to work with. Her colleague and executive editor, Joe Monti, who thought that this book was special enough to put on this amazing list of books that is coming out from Saga Press. I'm so humbled and grateful for that. Michael McCartney, who designed the cover, and not to brag, but I really like this cover. I think it's even better on the shelves. It's just, I love it, and I honestly can't imagine a better cover, so thank you, Michael, if you're out there. My publicist, Sienna Consul, who is just so fabulous and so supportive, and has probably been taking pictures of you guys tonight. Beta readers, early beta readers of the story, Erica David, somebody who flew in from Canada to cheers me tonight with water. Thank you so much to the early beta readers who believed in the story and made it possible. And then just a little bit of personal. My family, my parents who have always supported me from day one and taught me how to dream while keeping my feet on the ground. And to also watch my son a couple days a week and actually make it possible for me to write and revise. My adopted parents, my in-laws, Jeff's parents, who have turned their lives upside down to fill in the gaps to make revisions possible, because that time is insane. My sisters for being so fabulous, I had to write about you guys. And last but probably most, I can't look at you probably when I do this, last but most, my husband, Jeff. For anybody who knows Jeff, he is not a man of a million words. And it's funny, I think writers tend to really value words. We tend to think that's the way that you communicate, or we trade in words. But Jeff has always spoken through actions, and he has taught me sometimes that's just that much more important. Instead of saying, you can do this at the beginning, he would come home at 9 o'clock at night and sit next to me as I pounded on the computer, and he did his work emails and said, no, keep going. You're really doing this. You're going to finish it. Instead of saying, I've got your back, he, without question, watched Penn all weekend, my son, and laundry, dishes, you name it. He made it possible. Instead of saying, I'm proud of you, he sends 500-person email blasts out and starts, as you all know, and starts his work meetings with, by the way, I got to tell you about this really great book that's coming out, which I don't know if that's professional or not, but it's wonderful. And thank you so much. You are the best partner and best friend I could ever imagine. Thank you for making this possible. So I have totally babbled on, and I appreciate you guys all listening. We're going to do a reading now, so if my writer buddies somewhere in the corner can come over, that would be awesome. And I hope I actually... Oh, good. Okay. So we're going to do a scene from the novel. It's about like a quarter of the way through. It's a quarter of the way through, and it takes place in Belvedere Castle, which in this fictional world of New York has been repurposed as the warden's quarters. And or actually I could do here. Yeah, okay, anyway. Sorry, now I'm babbling. Anyway, so it takes place in Belvedere Castle, and the two sisters, the two protagonists, have been caught on the roof. They've broken out of the prison barracks, which are... where all the prisoners are kept during lockdown. So they're obviously in trouble, and they're on their way to appeal to the warden and for their fate to be determined. So, okay, so playing the two guards are Laurie Goldstein. These are all debut authors, and they're all part of my debut author, what do we call it, support group, marketing group. We're buddies. And they all have books coming out this year. Laurie Goldstein has Becoming Jinn coming out in April. And Kim Liggett has Blood and Salt coming out in November. And then Virginia Baker has The Witch Hunter, which is out in June. And then Jen Brooks is also with Simon & Schuster, and she has In a World Just Right coming out in April as well. Thank you guys for doing this so much. Okay. I'm so furious I'm seeing... Oh, and I'm Sky, one of the sisters. Okay. I'm so furious I'm seeing colors. The candlelit hallway of the Belvedere no more than the tunnel of an angry kaleidoscope. All I wanted was a tiny shot of adventure, an escape into another world. But like always, Phee took over, and instead of a night of reading Mom's journal on the roof, I'm being restrained by one of the most feared warlords of the park on my way to appeal to Rollodin. What was Phee thinking, grabbing that torch, bringing the gun? And if we lose that journal, I will never, ever forgive her. Laurie thrusts me forward as she pushes open a wide, thick wooden door, and we're once again in the study of Rollodin's chambers, as we were a night ago, begging for mercy.
The one thing I'll give you, you got nerve.
Cass snarls into my sister's ear. For once, my stomach doesn't lurch forward, and my mind doesn't clamor into protective mode. I just look away, upset, frustrated, maybe even a little glad Cass is giving Phee trouble. If he doesn't listen to me, maybe the Lords can knock some sense into her.
Cass, take this one.
Laurie says, passing me over to Cass.
I'll get Rollodin.
Cass holds my hands behind my back as Laurie opens the door to Rollodin's inner chamber and then retreats into darkness. We're left in the study. I look over at Phee and try to figure out if the small handgun is noticeable in the folds of her sweatpants. Thankfully, she never wears anything form-fitting, and the thick cotton reveals nothing. I look up and meet her gaze, and I can tell she's trying to carefully wiggle one of her hands free from Darren's grasp to sign something to me. Her eyes are wide and determined, and she has that crazy look in her eyes she sometimes gets when she's about to hatch a less than fully formed plan. I don't know what she's thinking, but I quickly and slightly shake my head. No, you've done enough. Rollodin bullies open the door to her study, Laurie in tow, before Phee can respond.
Did I hear this right?
Are you on? Can you go?
I'll just talk loud. Here. Oh, okay. Did I hear this? Whoa. Did
Now
I hear
you're
this
loud.
right?
Rollodin demands, thrusting her wide features into mine.
Breaking out during lockdown?
She moves like a cat on the hunt, is on Phee before I can blink.
Drinking on the roof? Tell me, do you think I just give orders as suggestions, that I'm open to interpretation? Do not leave your rooms. What is so fucking hard to understand?
She looks like she's about to strike Phee, and every ounce of ill will I wished my sister over the past few minutes washes away. I battle against Cass's grip to break free, but Rollodin's already diverted her anger, is pounding her old wooden desk in frustration. Crumpled papers and folders jump in surprise, then fall to the tabletop and surrender.
What the hell am I supposed to do with this information?
Rollodin runs her hands through her fire-colored hair.
You've left me no choice, you imbeciles. Laurie, take them away.
Laurie waves Cass and Darren to start moving back the way they came. This is it. Mom, forgive us.
Rollodin, please.
Phee fake slurs.
We didn't mean any disrespect. In fact, the opposite. I mean, we were celebrating the recent capture of those holdouts. No one steals from the park. No one.
Phee does a little stutter step forward for emphasis, but Darren pulls her back. I watch as Rollodin gently takes hold of Laurie's wrist to wait a moment. Phee takes this as a sign to continue. My God. I hope she knows what she's doing.
I want to stay here.
Phee blurts out.
The whole year, I want to stay. I want to be safe. I'm tired of leaving every summer. Tonight, I realized that, and I went with Sky to the roof to convince her, too, without our mom hearing us.
She looks over at me, nodding encouragingly, and for the life of me, I can't tell if she means what she's saying. This is a lie for Rollodin, right? Of course it is. Then I think about our conversation today about Phee becoming a lord, about our countless debates about the park. And if I'm honest with myself, as much as I've always wanted to ignore it, we've never seen eye to eye on this place. Somehow this ruthless city is home to my sister, where for me it will never, ever be more than a cage. I get an unsettling, anxious feeling in my abdomen. So how much truth is in this speech of Phee's? Is it for Rollodin's benefit or mine?
We had a few drinks, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for taking what isn't mine, what belongs to the Lord's. Please show us the Lord's mercy.
Phee continues, pulling out the ultimate line of deference in the park, the one people use when they have nothing else to offer, and I can't believe she's able to make the words cross her lips. If Mom could hear us, she'd explode. She's taught us never, ever to give in and say this.
I'll pull extra shifts. I'll clean the prisons. I mean, we'll do whatever you want, but after tonight, I know who I am, and I know what I want, and I think Sky does too. Right, Sky?
Rollodin turns her attention to me, stalks forward, but her features are softer than they were before. There's something new, hope, in her eyes. Yes, I stammer, not sure of what to say or do, only that yes feels like the best answer. That's right. Rollodin's mouth sets in a hard line, and her eyes don't leave mine.
Wait outside,
She finally says to her lords.
Rollodin,
if the other sheep knew what happened.
What are you, deaf? I said leave us.
The lords slowly slither out of the room like snakes in the grass. Roland slams the inside lock shut with a snap. Then it's just the three of us.
So,
Roland says to the ground, and if I didn't know better, she seems nervous as I am.
take a seat.
Phee and I find our way to two cracked leather chairs on the near side of her desk, and Roland bends down and examines the contents of her cabinet on the other side. She emerges with 3 glasses and a half-empty bottle labeled Johnny Walker Blue. She pushes away her mounds of dusty files, Third Geneva Convention, Red Allies Code of War, before slapping 3 glasses on her desk.
Laurie said you two liked whiskey.
She grunts as she opens the bottle and pours us each a hefty amount. I'm pretty sure Phee has no idea what she's talking about either, but we both take a glass without protest. Roland sits and leans back in her throne, probes us with her stare, then finally takes her whiskey and tips it towards us in the air.
Bottoms up.
I take the liquid to my lips. This one's still beyond brutal tasting, but it goes down a little easier than the Jim Beam from before. It's smoother, and I somehow manage not to gag. I regroup and take another sip. With each one, I get a little less anxious, a little less afraid, a little less conscious of sitting with the leader of the park discussing our future over a glass of whiskey. I take a deep breath and a long, long pull from the glass.
Well, you were saying?
Phee clears her throat, but doesn't look at me.
We love our mom, but now that we're older, I think we should make the decisions for ourselves. And when those holdouts emerged out of the woods, it all clicked for me.
It clicked for you. And what, may I ask, clicked?
It's like you were saying at the street fights about this whole survival of the fittest thing. And after my match, I really got it. I mean, I really got it, you know?
Fee's voice is starting to betray her a little, quiver just a bit. She takes another gulp of the Johnny, and I do too for good measure.
We're in the middle of a war.
Phee says with new vigor.
And I don't want to be cowering in the background. I want to be on the front lines with you, keeping the city in order, making sure we're as strong as we can be when we're finally released to fight and end this war for good.
She sells it hard. So hard I'm believing her, and I have to look away. So I focus on Roland instead. She's toying with her glass, batting it around on her desk like a cat with a caught mouse.
And what makes you think I'd want you as a lord?
Nothing. I don't even think that.
Phee runs her hands in circles under the desk, pulls at her sweatpants, gives that hidden gun some breathing room.
I don't expect anything at all. I just wanted to say that I hope to be pledged, and if you'll have us, we're yours.
Yours. I no longer care if Fee's being serious, or if this is all some elaborate tactic to escape the prisons. It's too much either way, and my stomach curdles in disgust. I can't look at either of them anymore. I grab my glass and pour it down my throat, finish every last drop, wish I could transport myself back to our room at the Carlisle, or better yet, to the other side of the world, another dimension, where there is no roll-it-in or eye for an eye or survival of the fittest.
Interesting. Well, I'll have to think about that offer.
She finishes her drink as well, and then promptly pours herself another one.
And what about you?
Roland suddenly turns to me. There's a smile threatening to reveal itself out from under her, but she smothers it before it can escape.
You've always reminded me of your mother. It's always seemed to me that our park way of life doesn't suit you.
She leans forward, and I swear, it's like she's about to jump over the table and devour me.
So I'm quite sure that you're just playing along on this one.
My stomach drops, and I'm shocked. Roland has paid that much attention, knows me well enough to even guess at the truth. I feel a flush in my cheeks, and I don't know if it's from the alcohol or the sickening feeling that I might be flattered. And I know I have 2 options. I can tell her how much I hate the park and this city, and her and all of the sorry excuses for human beings that do her bidding. Or I can tell her the bigger truth, the one that, regardless of how jealous I am, how insignificant I feel, is more a part of me than any limb or organ, whether I like it or not. It rumbles inside of me and bursts through my lips, armed with new ammunition from the whiskey. I would never leave Phee, I say, but don't look at my sister, as my answer is so fundamental, I'm scared by it. What she wants, I'll live with. Roland looks at me for a long time, and a thin film glazes over her, steals the color out of her eyes. And for just a sliver of a second, she reminds me of my mom.
Well, that I can believe.
Fee's fingers find mine under the desk, and she gives me a little squeeze. I feel like a traitor, a terrible, sorry excuse for a daughter. If Roland takes us in, how are we going to answer to Mom tomorrow? Are we even going to see her? As the whiskey settles, I start to realize that here, right now, we're forever altering the course of our lives, not to mention Mom's. Will she stay here with us? Will Roland force her to stay in the fields? Or will it be Mom's choice instead, and she'll disown us? I close my eyes and think of this uncertain future. Picture Phee, a lesser lord, and me, what? Some kind of counsel to Phee, a castle whore? I shake my head. Stop it. Stop thinking. Just stop.
You'll stay here tonight.
Rolled stands quickly, the shove of her chair interrupting my thoughts.
Tomorrow we'll discuss and make arrangements. I'll tell your mother. She'll have to come to terms.
Then she pounds on the door, and the moment is lost. We're just two young prisoners of war again, being handled. Laurie opens the door, and I see the rest of the warlords have just been waiting behind it patiently.
Take them to the guest chambers. Lock them in.
Then Roland looks at us and nods, like a fat cat, satisfied.
Until tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.